But he mentioned some specifics. He talked about the SGF. He talked about the former governor of Abia State. He also talked about the governor of Kano State, Ganduje. Does it give you that sense that we are really serious about fighting corruption? When this happens today, the next day you see a fraternization with the priests.
Okay, he was specific. Let me be specific. The former governor of Abia State is on trial. He's on bail. So, does the EFCC have the power, after he's been granted bail, can the EFCC constrain his right to liberty? Can the EFCC be prescriptive and say, you don't take chieftaincy title anymore? If somebody is undergoing trial, is celebrating. So what has the EFCC got to do with it? Even in the course of trial, in this country, we've seen people who are undergoing trial and who on the day of their conviction brought Ashoebi, this uniform dress, expecting to dance away home from the court.
How does that affect?
So,
how does that affect the psyche?
For example,
how would that affect the psyche of the people of the Nigerian state when they see that these people who ought to not even show their faces, according to Professor Odinkalu, that these people shouldn't even show their faces, but you see them out in the open? Is there anything wrong with the government stopping anyone who is on the trial or anything from carrying out any public functions?
No. Okay, only recently the government said that. Only recently you asked your question.
No, exactly. Let's clarify this, because what he said was they're fraternizing with the government that's supposed to be fighting corruption. So they see them frolicking, going for government affairs, government meetings, and all of that. And then the perception here. You need to clarify that perception. These people are on trial. They're supposed to be clearing their name. Should they be seen with you, who is supposedly prosecuting them for crimes?
Why not? Are they not Nigerians? I'm being serious here. It's only when you see a government sabotaging that prosecution that you worry. Whether you fraternize or whatever, then the following day you go to jail. So it's okay.
What about the former SGF who is leading the president's campaign in his state?
Who is the former SGF? Babashir Lawal is leading the president's campaign. I am not aware of that. But if there is a report on him, it will be good for the EFCC, once they've concluded their investigation, to bring him to justice. And if he's not being brought to justice, people like Jiti, like me, like every other person that feels strongly about this matter, can even file an action in court against the EFCC that there's a public duty here that you have to perform. I'm seeking an order of mandamus against you so that you'll be compelled by law to do your duty. I'm saying that the fight against corruption is not a tea party. Politicians of all shades would want to look away from certain route for certain political consideration. It is the duty of the people, not just the anti-corruption agencies alone, to ensure that that fight is all-encompassing and that there is no favoritism and that there is no duplicity. I have given us example here that even elsewhere, we've seen that. You've seen President Trump saying that, oh, Manafort, you are going to convict him. Well, we are not ruling out the possibility of pardon, preempting the possibility of evil conviction. That's in the United States. I'm saying that here, that possibility, nay, probability is there. But for me, that's not sufficient to poo-poo the entire anti-corruption thing and then say, oh, nothing is being done. I've seen that something is being done. My duty, my inclination, my responsibility is to encourage what is being done. Okay. If it's not being done fairly, is to decry it.
Okay, let's get the thoughts of our professor. Professor, in your view, has politics and political interference, for instance, been a bane to this fight against corruption for a government that professes that corruption must be killed or corruption will kill Nigeria?
Well, I'm not a politician. I don't know what they do at the times they do them or when they do them. We can only look at what we know. There is a zone of agreement, in my view, between Jiti and I, and there is a zone of contestation as there should be, between two adults. Let me try and build up on one or two factual issues. He suggests that governors have not been convicted. In his first incarnation as military leader, the Buhari administration in 1984-85 convicted a whole lot of governors, many of whom, rightly or wrongly, were put through the mill and sentenced to come out the day after eternity. Of course, President Babangida's administration then came in 1985 and altered the course of all of that. Now, there were difficulties with those processes and how they took place. And if you remember, the Nigerian Bar Association, by the way, whose president, it is reported, is going to be arraigned on Monday for fraud, allegedly, was against those trials. But if we go back to, it's good to have a sense of history here. In 1974, I believe, Joseph Tarka left the cabinet of General Gowon because of allegations of corruption from the late Godwin Dabo. And there were also allegations of corruption against Governor Joseph Gomwok, who was the governor of Benue Plateau State then. And it was in the aftermath of all of that and what happened with it and the way the Gowon administration did it, that the government of Murtala Mohammed took over power in July 1975. And when they took over power, they fired a lot of people. Permanent secretaries, I'm not going to name names here, were fired because they found in their accounts monies that were not supposed to be there and could not have been explained. The Chief Justice of Nigeria then, Elias, was indeed fired. And we ended up with Daniel Alexander as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. What am I saying? There is nothing new about this. Gowon forced a minister to resign. And nevertheless, the general perception was that he was not serious about fighting corruption. It is possible to claim to be fighting corruption and nevertheless be creating the wrong perceptions. And I insist that it is true, somebody may be undergoing trial and may in fact be on bail. But if somebody is undergoing trial for looting Abia State, for instance, and what Odinkalu is accused of, the allegations are of looting, not just stealing, and a president professes to be fighting corruption, I insist that that president has a duty not to offer clearance to that person to come and consult with him. And when that president fails in doing it, I will be entitled not to take him seriously on the issue of fighting corruption. At the moment, we're in political campaign season, and what is happening is that people who are under suspicion or indeed undergoing trial in relation to corruption are consorting with people who profess to be fighting corruption. And Jiti is right. It affects our legal profession too. Yesterday, the report came out that the president of the Nigerian Bar Association could be in legal jeopardy for fraud with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And lawyers were being precluded from reporting that thing. And lots of young lawyers were put under pressure. Legal bloggers were put under pressure for reporting that. And a young female blogger was actually removed, for instance, from the platform of young lawyers because she had the courage to report it accurately. Another legal blogger was nearly removed from the platform of the Lagos Bar because he reported it accurately. That is a society in which people don't want to take responsibility. And on this, Jiti and I are absolutely on the same page. We totally agree.